What is going on, people? You know what time it is. We're back for another chat in the car, and to be honest, this one is one that a lot of you guys have been writing comments asking specifically about this thing, and I'm like, how can I not speak about this? So it's probably not going to be the only video we'll do on the topic. Obviously, there'll be more things, and I'm sure you guys will have questions, and there'll be more stuff we'll speak about in the future. But we'll go into that in a bit. But for now, I just basically want to speak about my experience, as the title says, with using dry herb vape so far, like switching from smoking bud to vaping it with a dry herb vape. Like, I've had people asking the question, what's a dry herb vape? And I literally had that same question like a year ago, which is just before I got into dry herb vaping. And I don't know if you know this, but if you'd watched my previous videos, you will know I actually started dry herb vaping before I went into medical cannabis. So it was an easier switch for me once I got into the medical cannabis side and I got the legal bud, because I was vaping black market anyway, you know what I mean? But yeah, there's a few reasons, to be honest with you, why I got into it, which is probably an interesting one for a lot of people, of why did I get into it before I had to get into it, if you know what I mean. Now, you may or may not know, when you get legal medical cannabis in the UK, you're not allowed to smoke it. It literally says on the packet from the doctor, do not smoke, in capitals. So you're not allowed to smoke it. It's breaking the law by smoking it. Now, obviously, you're breaking the law if you were smoking black market beforehand. Even just purchasing it was breaking the law. So don't get it twisted. I do understand that some people will go and do that. But for me, like I said, I switched to it way before the fact. I was already on dry herb vapes for about, I want to say about 6 months before, maybe 4 to 6 months before I actually got into the legal side of things and getting the medical bud. Main reasons for me for switching over were a couple. Firstly, a massive one was smoking just proper clogged me up, like internally. Like every morning I'm waking up full of mucus, and I know it's not nice to chat about, but you man are probably already dealing with the same problems anyway, so it's, you know what I mean, what can I say, that's what was happening. Anyone who smokes regularly, they would know that that's the cause of it. Now, I was originally smoking with tobacco because that's what people do in the UK. I never smoked a cigarette in my life. Like, I've never even drawed a cigarette in my life. But yeah, I smoked weed with tobacco for years. Like, it doesn't even make sense. There you go. We just do it because everyone else does it. And then eventually I realised, and I actually had a really good friend of mine say to me, listen, just make the switch, bro. Just change over from tobacco to pures and you will see the difference. And again, this is before dry herb vapes. This was just tobacco to pures. And going from tobacco to pures, he said the first 2 weeks, it's going to taste like shit. There's a reason why I'm giving this whole story as well. You'll know in a minute. But there's a reason why it's going to taste. It's going to taste like shit. Sorry, get myself mixed up now. Basically, what he said to me is the first 2 weeks when you're smoking pures, you ain't going to be able to taste the flavour. It's going to make you cough your eyeballs out, and you're going to be thinking, "Fuck this, I can't do it." And I did all of those things, and I was bringing up one point to him initially. I was saying, oh, I've got my head there, it's like a spider web from work. But yeah, basically, he said to me, I said, look, I feel like I can't even taste the bud when I draw one of your zoots because it's pure. It hits me, don't get me wrong, and I don't get the nicky rush that you get off the tobacco, but at the same time, I feel like I can't taste it. And he's like, bro, trust me, you can taste it more. And I'm like, what do you mean? It just tastes like a burning effect in my throat. I just couldn't hack the pure zoots, do you know what I mean? But anyway, I respect this guy a lot. I mean a lot. Like, I respect what he says. Any recommendations he ever give me have been good, and anything that he says, I'm not saying the guy's, you know, everything he says is the true to me and it works for me and but I respect what he says, do you know what I mean? And he's not going to say something with ill intentions. He's not that type of brother. So when he said it to me, it made me think, you know what, why don't I just try it? Give it 2 weeks. If I don't like it, I'll just go back to, you know. He said to me, you actually smoke less if you smoke pures. And I was like, nah, fuck off. No way. The whole point of smoking with tobacco is you make it stretch longer, and, you know, you can get a Ben or an 8 or whatever when you're back in them, when you're younger anyway. And you're getting these smaller bags and you're like, oh yeah, I can make so many zoots out of it. Whereas if you used to use a pure, you know what I mean? A gram with pure is like 1 to 2 zoots really in it. Whereas if you was putting tobacco, you could probably stretch it to 4. I mean, I've seen people stretch it to way more than that as well. And yeah, you think that you're stretching it out, but in actual fact, once you do that switch, once you have like 2 straight weeks of smoking pure, and then try and go back to smoking some zoot with a tobacco in, oh my God, it's like you just violated your lungs. Like, that's exactly how he explained it to me, and I couldn't put it better. Like, when I did it, nah, I couldn't even do it. And like my brother, he came down, I had some bud at the time, it was like a proper orange terpy bud, like really super orangey, like I can't remember what it was, like a tangerine dream, something like that. And I remember like just, you know, every time I was rolling up this bud, you're smelling the flavors, like it was, yeah, you could proper, you know, it was notable. And then my little brother come along, I say my little brother, he's not little, my younger brother, I don't know why I say that. My younger brother come along, and he said, oh, do you mind if I just nick a zoot? I said, go help yourself, bro. So he made himself a zoot, and he used that same bud and lit it up, and he said, oh, it tastes proper orangey, that. I said, yo, why'd you say that? Let me have a draw of it, bro. I had a draw and I nearly threw up, mate. I swear down, I nearly threw up. It was nasty, bro. And I just couldn't hack it, mate. I tried to do another, but it was like I was doing half pulls because I couldn't physically take the full pull. It's like my body just, no, don't do it. Something stopped within me to be like, nah, it's not happening. You're not bringing this shit into your lungs. I was like, wow. So that's definite for me. I'm staying on pures. And then after so long, I had learned about the dry herb vapes. And I think it was through looking into the medical side of things and realizing that, you know, this is how you're going to have to do it. And I was like, actually, you know, from what people are saying, the problem of all this mucus, it brings it right down, like it chills the issue out, because you're no longer breathing in carbon monoxide, you're not burning anything, you're actually vaporizing the terpenes on the bud itself. Like, so essentially how it works with a dry herb vape is you grind up your flower, you put it in, and it's like, it depends on the vape you've got. I will go into that in another video. Like I'll probably try and bring my vapes out and just show you what I've got and what my experiences with them. Not a review as such, but you know what I mean, just to try and give you a recommendation on what I think you would want, depending on, or what I think that you should get depending on your you know, circumstance. And there's a lot of differences in all these vapes, and they all can provide a different experience and also different price points depending on what you're looking to spend. Which again, it matters how much you're using it for that. You're not going to warrant spending £500 on a vape if you're using it once a week. Do you know what I mean? Depending on how much dough you've got, I don't know. But yeah, so for me, initially, I wanted to make the switch, and I just wanted to make it not too expensive. So I kind of I did a lot of research, and I went with a relatively cheap entry-level vape. And I say relatively cheap, it was still £89. And then there was a few extras to add on to it and stuff. I swear it cost me about £120. Yeah, it was a good vape, man. It was a good vape. It got me into it, and I said to myself, if I stick at this for 2 weeks and don't smoke, and then try and smoke again, just like my mate told me to do with the pures, and see how I feel. And wow, it's all I'm gonna say. Wow. Right, for a start, I cut my consumption down by like 75%, and I'm not even joking. Like, say you was blazing, I don't know, a Q a week, a Z a week, I then brought it down to about a Q or a half, something around there. More like probably nearer to the half, maybe 10 Gs, something like that. But from 28 plus, that's mad. Like even 60% then, 60% I brought it down. That's mad. Like that's a big saving right there. So if you think you just roll over 1 month of savings into buying a vape. So that's when I was like, right, okay. And then the next thing is the flavor. Bro, the flavor is different. Like, you think you tasted loud when you got these mad, like, Cali packs and da-da-da-da, whatever. It don't even have to be that. You just have to have something that's good quality, do you know what I mean? And you've had something good quality that's been cured and looked after and all this, and you think it tastes nice in a zoot with Baki or pure or however, and then just try it in a dry herb vape, mate. It is like 100 times stronger, the flavor. And it's not really something you can put into words. You just have to try it. And don't get me wrong, the flavour slowly tapers off the longer you vape in that particular bit of bud. And that's because of the terpenes. And we spoke about terpenes in the past, but essentially different terpenes give you different effects, and different strains have different levels of each terpene in. Some don't have this particular terpene, but they've got this terpene, and so on and so forth. They might have different levels. Now the beauty with vaping as well is these terpenes have got different temperatures. So if it's the daytime and you're vaping and you don't want to be sedated, you can actually just lower your temperature down. Now what you'll tend to have is, at the lower temperature, less clouds, more flavour, and much more of an uplifting effect, because you're not going to hit the temperatures needed to combust, or not combust, sorry, but to vaporize certain terpenes, and those terpenes are the ones that are going to make you feel sleepy, or, you know, sedated, or whatever it is that you might not be looking for at certain times. So not only do you just then pick your strains, you can actually vape your strains in different ways. Like, it's mad when you think about it. Like I say, nighttime, I get my vape out and it's going straight on a higher end of the scale of temperatures, because it's nighttime and I want to get that whole hit of all of the terpenes in one, rather than if you just burn off the lower, not burn off, but you know what I mean, vaporize, I keep saying burn, it's how we talk, innit? We've been smoking for years and burning weed for years, and then you realise that you're not burning it no more when you're on the dry herb vapes, you're vaporising it. But yeah, essentially what happens is it heats it up, and as it heats it up, you get those terpenes activated, you inhale them, and if you're just using the lower end of the temperature, you're going to leave the stuff from the higher end of temps, those sedative terps, they're still going to be in there, and there's still going to be some of the other terps, because you won't vaporize all of them unless you're vaporizing it till it's like absolutely dark material. But generally, most people vaporize it till it's like a medium brown to a dark brown, and then you'll dump that out, and you're talking like you might be filling up with like 0.1 or 0.2 of a gram at the most. Like, there's not many vapes that are taking more than that. Like, I've got the Solo 3, I think it is, the Arizer Solo, yeah, I think it's Arizer Solo anyway. The Arizer Solo, either 2 or 3, I can't remember which one it is, whichever's the newest one, but I haven't got the V3 of it. But anyway, I've got that vape, and that says it holds 0.4, but I'll be honest, if your bud's fluffy and that, you ain't getting 0.4 in that, and it's not working properly with 0.4, even in the XL stems. So you're not using much at once, and honestly, like, the difference in the feeling is mad. So depending on, you know, one, you can dial in and choose how much of which terps you want, but then on top of that, the feeling that you get, it's like you don't get the hit of carbon monoxide. You're not breathing smoke in, so that doesn't, one, fuck your lungs up as bad and make all your airways clogged and your sinuses and all this shit that I used to struggle with. But on top of it, you're actually dealing with, like, you're just vaporizing just the terpenes and the THC off the bud. You're not bringing that carbon monoxide in your body, which means you're not getting that, like, head hit of, like, when you smoke a zoot and it just hits your head instantly. Like, it's not that same feeling. So people at first were thinking, oh, you'd be thinking you might not be getting the feeling, or it's not working properly, until you get this, like, fat hit that makes you cough your eyes out, and then you, like, sit there for 5 minutes and you think, yo, yeah, that's it now. Oh. And that's when you realise, like, it's a balance game, you know what I mean? You've got to find what works. And on top of that, you can actually take they call it AVB or ABV. It stands for either already been vaped or already vaped bud. I feel like no one has universally agreed which one it is, so we just roll with both. But yeah, your AVB, you can knock that out. That's into a jar or whatever. I use like little vacuum seal tubs. Knock it out into that and then save it up, and you can basically use that as either edibles. I mean, some people use it as like a tobacco substitute. Some people use it as edibles. Some people will discard it and throw it in the bin, but to me, I don't see what the point is in doing that, because I've made edibles with mine and it will whack you. It's crazy, because it's already been vaped, which means it's already been past the temperature it needs to activate the THC. So when you're making edibles, you normally have to decarboxylate the weed and you don't have to do any of that. You literally just use the AVB. Like, some people will just get a cracker, peanut butter. I've never tried this because I just don't think I'd like the taste, but I like peanut butter and a cracker, that's fine, but then they'll just sprinkle the AVB on top, and to me that's wild. But apparently people do that, and they'll put like a teaspoon or a tablespoon of AVB on top, and they're like, wow, that was way too much, that was so strong. Which is mad, because you think you're already, you know, you're vaping X amount out of it. So it sounds like, in a way, you might think, oh, you're kind of wasting it then because you're not getting it all. But nah, when you're burning a zoot, do you know how much is being wasted? Like, you're sat there with it burning, it's constantly burning off the end of it, right? constantly burning off the end of it. Now, if you smoke with tobacco, it will burn right the way down because the tobacco will continue burning it. If you smoke pure, it will just continue to go out every so often, which is kind of annoying, but it's kind of good because it saves you from bunning it all. I found with tobacco, you'd bun the whole joint in 5 minutes, whereas with pures, it used to last me a long time. Whereas now, with the vape, it's like a whole different scenario. It's like you fill it up, and the vape can, depending on the vape you're using and the bud you're using and the temperature, there's a lot more variables, which just gives you more control. But basically, it gives you the control of what feeling you want to get out of it. Even if you've got some sort of flower that's, you know, heavy and a terp that you don't want to get the feeling of, as long as that's at the higher end of the temp scale, just use the lower end. And if you want to get a big hit, then put the temperature up, stick it through a water pipe or something so you can get a massive hit, and you'll be surprised. Like I don't like bongs. I've never ever liked them. I've never been able to use them. They just make me cough and splutter, and yeah, it's just not a nice experience. But yeah, since I've had a dry herb vape, I can use them no problem because I put the dry herb vape through it and it's vapor, it's not smoke. I've tried once since because I kind of convinced myself, like I used them that much with the dry herb vape that I thought maybe I can just use bongs now. I tried it once, combusting. I swear to God, I nearly died. I'll never be doing that again. I'll never be doing that again. That was bad. I'm just thinking back to it now. That was really bad. Yeah, I didn't know if I was going to recover from that. That was really bad. I had a good 20 minutes, like, my throat. But yeah, so basically, I'd say the switch from it, the effect you get is more of a cleaner high. Like, it sounds weird. You have to try it to fully get it, but it's much more of a cleaner high. It's hard to explain. Yeah, I think that's all the way I can explain it. It's a cleaner high. It gives you that slightly different feeling that yeah, cleaner. That's all I can say. It's cleaner. It can be sedative if you want it to be, because you whack up the temps and you'll go at the higher end. But yeah, so in terms of vapes, my experience is you get what you pay for, as with most things in life. Don't mean you can't get discounts and bargains and stuff on sale, and, like, you know what I mean, I got my best vapes during a 420 sale, so it saved me a lot of money. But yeah, I'd say if you're going to start out and you're going to go down this route, realistically, especially if you're already on medical, you're going to really need to do it. So I'd say, I would say there's no point getting one of these lower end ones if you know you're going to stick to it. Just go for a higher end one, because the difference is like completely chalk and cheese, like two completely different scenarios with that XMAX V3 Pro, which was like 89 quid, versus I've got a TinyMight 2 and an Arizer Solo 3. I think it's a Solo 3. But yeah, I've got those three, and sorry, those two now, because I don't even have the XMAX anymore. I've just got the TinyMight 2 and the Arizer Solo 3, and both of them are insane in the level of difference that you get out of them. One, the hit. Two, be honest, the flavour is insanely different compared to the XMAX. It was alright, and I was like, wow, this is so much more flavourful than a joint. But when you go onto the TinyMight or the Arizer Solo, the flavour hits, it's different. And the temperatures you've used, the control you've got over them, just allows you to really, like, dial in that effect that you want to get. Whatever it is that effect is, you know what I mean? Everyone's different. Like, all the people I've seen commenting on these videos, like, you've all got different reasons while you're using this plant. This is what's so amazing about the plant itself, is that it can be used to help so many different things. It is actually mad. But what I'd say is smoking it definitely isn't helping a lot of issues. Like, for me anyway, it wasn't. Recreationally, I can understand it. Like, you're sat with the boys, you want to pass a joint around, I get it, like, fully. But when you're talking like medicating, I personally think that the dry herb vape just takes the top spot, if you like. So another one I've not even spoke about and not touched on, but this was a huge reason for me as well, is the smell. Like, it's so discreet. If you use a dry herb vape, the smell is next to none. Like, it stinks in your vicinity for a short period of time, like a few minutes, but you could be vaping in a room, and then like 15 minutes later, someone comes in that room and they wouldn't even know that you'd been vaping in that room. which is mad. If you were smoking, there's not much you could do to change that within 15 minutes. Like, no matter what chemicals you had, how many windows you had open, someone's walking in and they're gonna know you've been smoking in that room, because the smoke clings to your clothes, it clings to your beard, it clings to your hair, it clings to everything, because it's smoke. You know what I mean? Think about when you go and have a bonfire, everything stinks of smoke because the smoke clings to everything. Whereas with vapor, it doesn't cling in the same way. Like, you know, if you think about if you stand next to someone on one of these fucking elf bars, you know, these vapes, like normal, whatever they are, nicotine vapes, and as you can tell, I don't use them, but if you're stood next to someone, it stinks so strong. Yo, sorry, my storage ran out. We deleted some videos, we're back at it. I was just chatting for like 15 minutes to no one, but there we go. Anyway, so where were we? We're at the smoke. Basically, the smell of smoke when you're smoking a joint is strong. When you're using a vape, it's minimal. Like, there is so little smell. As I said, you can dial the effect in way better than when you're burning a joint. You get that hit of carbon monoxide, and it just kind of, it hits you. You know what I mean? It's a different effect. Whereas when you're vaping, you can decide which terpenes you want to not combust, to vaporize, and which you want to consume. And you know, if it's nighttime, you want to just dial the temperatures right up, then you're going to get that effect, but you're not going to smoke it. And you'll know if you smoke it, like once you've been vaporizing for a bit, pardon me, once you've been vaporizing for a bit, if you do like what I was saying with the joint, and you go back to trying the joint, you just, the taste is different. You can no longer, you could take the same flower that you're tasting in a vaporizer and thinking, wow, this is power, this is insane, the flavor on it, etc. And then you go and make a joint of it, and it's like inhaling a campfire. It's mad. And you only, it's like an acquired taste. Once you acquire the taste of having the vape itself, as opposed to the joint, when you go over to it, yeah, like I say, it's just you for me anyway, I couldn't make the switch back. Like, I can see why smoking a joint recreationally, it would, you know, it would be a benefit. You're passing it around a few people, and I get it. But for a medicating standpoint, like using it to get your medicating effects, I just think that the process and the feeling and everything about vaporizing with a dryer vape is just superior, for me anyway, than any of those effects that, or any of the what I would get from smoking. You know what I mean? So like with smoking, say you're in pain, when you're smoking, if you're coughing, which is what had happened to me, you know, my sinuses get all filled up, you're coughing not only during smoking but the next morning, and like that causes you physical pain. Like, I don't know about you, but if you're coughing hard enough, it hurts, man, especially when you got low, when you're doing it every day. Yet when you don't cough like that no more, you might get the occasional like lung punch if you take a dryer vape at a really high temp and you do it, you know, try and take the biggest draw from it. But once you get yourself dialed in with your vape, whichever vape it is you're using, or you might have a few, you know, like I said, I've got a couple, you'll know how to treat that vape once you've put the flower in, what it's going to be like, and how far you can take it before it's going to make you cough like that. Whereas with a joint, there's not really much you can do about it. Even if you don't cough during the joint, you're getting all that build-up of phlegm, and that was for me anyway. It used to just block me up massively and make me feel like shit the next day. I'll be honest now, because I don't do it, if I do have a joint, I feel it for like a good 2-3 days, or at least a day, but if not 2 or 3 days after it, I can feel it when I wake up, especially. Like, I'm like, oh my god, this is that joint of the weekend. And it's just not worth it, you know what I mean? In a lot of ways, I find like the vape just massively smashes it out of the ballpark. Yeah, I just think for me that works the best. So yeah, I hope this is kind of give you a rundown. I think I've touched on most of the stuff that I touched on already, I think, but I'm not 100%, because like I say, the video did cut off. This isn't the only video I'm going to do on vaporizers anyway. We're going to do more. I want to talk specifically about the vaporizers I've got, like I said, bring them out and show you, and just kind of give you some pointers in what I think is the better vaporizer for certain situations and stuff like that out of what I've got. But I'd love to hear from you guys, like what vaporizers you use. Has anyone got a ball vape? Because I've never used a ball vape. I've heard they're incredible. I've got the TinyMight 2 and the Arizer Solo 3, and they do the trick for me, like absolutely do the trick. The Solo 3 I find really good at home and for a water pipe and stuff like that, whereas the TinyMight 2 It's brilliant at home, but I do use it a lot when I'm out and about. Like I tend to prefer to use that one in public because it's just so much smaller and stealthier, if you like. It just doesn't, it blends in a bit more than the Solo 3 does. There's some of them, like the XMAX, I must give it to that XMAX, it blends in like a normal vape pen, like but you just don't get the same hit off it. My advice would be, if you are looking to go down that route, personally, probably better off getting something a little bit better to begin with, just to give you that, how can I say it, that extra bit of something, you know what I mean? Whereas if you're going for something cheaper to start off with, it's one of them. It's hard to say though, because getting the cheap one for me, I must admit, I got it and I sold it on once I was done with it. It made me know, okay, I like this, and then I got something more expensive. But I did have to sell it on. You might not do that. You might end up sitting in a drawer and then you've wasted 100 odd quid. So I think you're better off getting something decent if you can afford it. But just know the amount of flour you're going to be saving, it's already going to give you the budget to afford it. Like, if you were spending X amount on flour before and you're going to drop that by 60%, think of how much more money you're going to have. Like, in 1 month's time, you could probably go and buy a decent quality vape. If you give it 2 or 3 months, the savings you've made, you could buy a high-end vape most likely. Just with the savings, and from that point you're still going to be reducing. You'll find the better the vape you have, the less flour you use overall, because you don't need, like, the better vapes can get that extraction at a much better point, whereas I found with the cheaper ones it just doesn't quite do the same job. It's still good enough though, don't get me wrong. Don't talk yourself out of it just because of that. Like I said, I was using these before I went down the legal cannabis route, and then once I was comfortable with them, and I ended up going, you know what, I should just go down the legal route. I don't know why I'm not doing it. But like I say, with kids and things like that, like, smell is a massive thing. Family and people coming round, and yeah, it makes a big difference. So smell's a big one. The flavour is a huge one. The way the effects are and the fact you can dial them in. The massive reduction in the amount that you're actually vaporizing, smoking, however you want to say it. And then the health benefits of just not being clogged up as much. Like, it's changed me massively in terms of my day-to-day. Again, it's not something I really touched on in the other video of my day-to-day experiences and how things change, but it's not something I kind of thought about as much. But then you guys have been asking a lot of questions in the comments. Shout out to all of you as well. Massively appreciate you. Especially the repeat commenters, like the people who are on every video as soon as I drop it. Like, it blows my mind. Like, I'll record these after work, go home, it's uploaded on the way, I get home, once it jumps on the Wi-Fi, it finishes the upload pretty quick, and I'm chilling like an hour, 2 hours later, and I'll check the video and I'm like, oh my god, there's people already commenting, the same people from the last videos plus new ones, and you're showing love, man. I appreciate all of yous, I proper do. And that's why we're doing more videos like this, because you guys have been saying, like, I like these videos, I like the authentic side. It's just us, like, sit down, chilling, having a chat, and we're going through stuff. And that's why I'm talking about this topic today, is from one of you guys in the comments. Not just one, in fact, quite a few people have been asking about dry herb vapes, and yeah, I just thought I'd speak about my experience with them. Again, this isn't a review or a recommendation, this is literally a guy in his car talking about dry herb vapes and his experience. So don't take anything for gospel, you know, go and do your own research, of course, but that's with anything in life. Do I need to say that? It's common sense, you know what I mean? I'm hoping, although common sense isn't that common, I'm hoping the majority of the viewers that we have on this channel, we've got some common sense about us, come on. But yeah, do some research, of course. I will drop another video soon just going through my actual vapes, like I say, and I'll just show you them and give you some actual breakdowns of each one, what I do and don't like about them and stuff like that. But I thought it's more important to drop something like this first, just to give people an understanding of this, you know, what it's like switching from smoking to vaping. Is it worth it? Is it better? In my opinion, yes. I just wouldn't go back. Like I say, maybe occasionally, you know, when you're with other people, if someone passes me a joint, I'm not going to say no, but I feel it, you know what I mean? And for me, long-term consumption is just with the vapes is better. And to be honest, the fact that a lot of the bits are glass and stuff like that, especially to get the most flavour, you'll find the glass pieces, it kind of makes you a little bit more mindful when you're doing stuff. Like, you're not as, I don't know, that's just another little bonus thing that I think it makes a difference. It's like, it just makes you that little bit more mindful of being careful and taking a bit more time with it. But I think that's just part of the ritual that we have. You know, you have that ritual when you're blazing, you grind up, roll up, you know, you have that, and you get into that, and you get like a new routine and ritual. Once you start with the vapes, it's slightly different again, but it is its own thing. But yeah, overall, guys, it's a positive for me. It's a winner. It's changed my life massively. It's allowed me to, I mean, a huge one's a savings, come on, but there's a lot of other reasons there that I've outlined, so I hope that makes sense. I hope I've mentioned most of the stuff that I did in the other clip, I think. But if not, like I said, we're going to do more videos on these topics and many other topics, so just let us know in the comments below, like, what's your guys' favourite vaporizer? What's your best way to consume? What do you prefer? Why do you prefer that method? Like, what is it about that method that's better? Yeah, just let us know, and let me know if other things you want to talk about, because this is our channel. We're all here conversing. I'm medicated, mate, but we're all medicated, mate. That's the point, you know what I mean? We are all medicated, mate, and we're here talking about that. That's it. So listen, I appreciate every single one of you. You're fucking legends, mate. We're at 1.6 something K now. Crazy. We've hit 3 months as well now, so we are 3 months in. But yeah, if this chat just helps somebody even just feel like they've had a conversation with someone about some of this stuff, when it, you know, it's not getting talked about enough. Like, if you're trying to find a vape in the UK, it's just so overwhelming. I know it from experience. Like, you just don't know what to buy, and you've got all these people in America and these videos trying to sell you stuff. And yeah, I'm not trying to sell nothing. I'm just trying to chat about it and get it out there. So listen, thank you for watching. I appreciate you if you've stayed to the end. Legends, absolute legends. Drop me a comment below. Let me know, like I say, what you think, what you'd like. I don't know what I'm saying now. I'm going to end the video here, guys. I appreciate every single one of you, like I say, and yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much, guys. I'm going to bed. Take it easy.